Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is exciting. So, as you are probably aware, I'm going to be walking you through 7 powerful strategies to get more leads. And with the best will in the world, you know, lead magnets and offers and whatever it is that you have behind the scenes, it's nothing if you can't get eyeballs. It's nothing if you can't get traffic. You know, there's a lot of things that people need in the world, but they just don't know about it. They've not seen it before. And that's the problem we want to overcome today. So naturally, I'm going to start with Harry Potter. So this unknown book took a while for it to go viral. It took a while for it to get published. I think it was on the 12th attempt that the book was officially picked up and set for publication. Now, the book was always the same. It just didn't get in front of mass audience, so people couldn't test whether or not the idea was, successful or not. And that's the reality about some of the things in your business. You might have the best thing in the world, but if people can't see it, then you're not going to be successful in promoting that thing. Now, when it eventually did get published, obviously it's transformed everything. It's changed people's lives. It's changed the world. There's merchandise. There's Harry Potter land. There's films. There's movies. There's extra movies. There's just so much that has come from it. But it took that door to be flung open from a visibility point of view in order for the book to be successful as well. And the book was always the same. It just got rejected, 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 and nobody knew about it. And when we did know about it, we were like, "Oh, we like this. Let's adopt it as an identity." And that's what happened. And the same goes for other viral things that we see online these days. This chap was singing for years before he went viral and got picked up. And then one song changed the game for him, and he became well known and visible. And he became just a huge success, hundreds of millions of views on this video, and people have just absorbed and consumed his content ever since. Schitt's Creek, the program that my wife absolutely loves, this didn't get picked up until later on. There's 5 series. I think it was maybe 4th or 5th season where people started to realize that they enjoyed it and it was fun, and then people again adopted that as their identity. And the truth is that it doesn't matter how good the thing is. It doesn't matter if you can't get visible. So you don't have a value problem necessarily. You have a visibility problem. And I think we just need to absorb that for a second, which means that if you spend all of your time in the world creating the best offer possible or the best lead magnet possible, but you can't get traffic to it, then you might be thinking to yourself, well, maybe it's the thing that I need to change. And then you get into this cycle of updating the thing so much. When really we just need to let those floodgates open, show some people the thing, and we'll eventually see if this is valuable or not. And if it's not, then they're just going to be looking around like, what are you offering to the world? Like, I'm not really picking anything up from you. It's important that you do break those doors down. Otherwise, people are just going to land on your stuff and they're not going to be able to find anything of value if you keep constantly changing things and constantly making, other decisions. So let's just use that as a baseline. You don't have a lead generation problem. You have a visibility problem right now. And if we can just open that door, even a crack to begin with, then you're going to see if your lead generation or your lead magnet works or your offer works. You just need some eyeballs. You need some feedback on it. Now, you might be asking to yourself, how many leads do you actually need in order to run a successful business? So I'm going to give you some typical stats based on lead magnet landing page. Now, if you have a relatively good landing page, then you might have 5 people show up to it and 2 people opt in. So no matter how good it is, the offer, this is typically a really good result. Most people don't get 40%. A lot of people get 20%, and some people get 10% if the offer isn't as good. So you're able to use that as sort of a baseline. But to be honest, you do need more numbers. You need more people. And in fact, I wasn't going to tell you this, but at the end of this webinar, I've got something that you can learn about that got us an 83% conversion rate. But I just want you to park that in your mind right now and think to yourself, okay, so 20, 30, 40% is usually a good number to go for. The problem is if you've only got 5 people coming to your landing page and not many people, trickling through from various places because we don't have the right traffic generating techniques in place, then you're not really going to get many leads or sales. And not to mention that if you are paying for leads, it can cost upwards of £5, £10 if you're lucky. Some people pay £20 per lead in order to get people registered for, webinars and to get people to download like PDFs and things like that. So there's an awful lot of expense that goes into it. So if you're trying to grow your leads based on ads alone without actually testing it first, then it can cost you a lot of money. And this is the thing, I constantly speak to people that have huge email lists and they say to me they've been culling their lists. People aren't opening them. They've spent all this money investing in Facebook ads or Google ads, and they've got a huge list, but then they end up dropping a few thousand because they don't engage after a few months or a few years. So it can get very expensive, especially when you need to think about getting rid of these people after you've invested and paid in them. So it is important that you have some ways to generate free traffic, even if you are using Facebook ads or any other ads methods successfully. You still need to be considering how you're going to use organic techniques in order to get there. And what I'm going to teach you how to do today is, yes, there's going to be ways for you to increase your conversion rate, but really what we want to do is increase the number of people finding your landing page. So if that you do have a 40% conversion rate, there's far more people becoming a lead and then far more people becoming a sale. We really just want to make sure that you have as much going on so that the leads are coming in consistently, so that the sales are coming in consistently. And that's really what it's about. Now, one of the big interesting things about running this webinar is we asked a few questions as part of the sign-up process to find out where people were, where they were at with their lead magnets and lead generation. And there's quite a few people that said they're really not sure where to start. So I wanted to kind of include a couple of options. I mentioned to you that we have a big focus right now on making sure that our clients, customers, audience are successful. So we're constantly trying to think of new assets and new tools that we can create in order to make your life easier. So what we've gone ahead and done is we put together this little document that allows you, if you are struggling to come up with a lead magnet idea and you're really not sure, should you choose this, should you choose that? We've got this little document here that you can see. And on this first column, you can see the goal. So this will be kind of your niche. So if you are struggling for a lead magnet, this is definitely going to help. And like I said, it's about testing your lead magnets first. So even if you're not entirely confident in your lead magnet choice, push it out. Let's get some traffic to it. Let's see. So the goal today is everyone that doesn't have a lead magnet, for you to leave this webinar with a choice as to what the lead magnet you want, so that you can focus most of your effort on driving traffic, because that's the real trick. That's what's going to get you the results that you want. So down the left-hand side here, goal, you can see whatever it is that your business helps people achieve. Is it better business? Is it a growth business? Is it better relationships? Is it better health or fitness? Maybe you want to help people with money. Whatever your category of business, your niche is, that should be relatively straightforward for you to identify. On the type column, you really want to think about what lead magnet you would like to have. So would it be an assessment? So you essentially can take what you do as a goal and you can create an assessment for it. You could even create an event like a webinar like this one. You could create a discussion group. And if you've ever been on Daniel's webinars before, he talked about some of these, the wait list. If you have a money coaching program and you want to launch a wait list, then you can do that. If you have a happiness event that you want to launch, you can do that. You just need to start making some decisions, and using this should give you a couple of ideas as to how you can come up with your own lead magnet. So we've got strategy session. If you want to jump on a 30-minute call with people, then that's great. Whatever that is, we need to make a choice. You can use it for recruitment. You can use it for getting feedback from people. You could create a video course. There's so many lead magnets that you can use. And I think the thing is with ScoreApp is that everybody just sees it as a quiz tool. But you'll see from this webinar that it can be used for anything. And that's the goal for ScoreApp, is to make it accessible for everyone, no matter what your lead magnet is. We want to find a way to make it easier for you. For free, because obviously ScoreApp's free for everyone. Personal brand or business brand, something for you to consider when you create your lead magnet. Should it be more you focused? Should it be more business focused? For the most part, it should be personal brand focused. But there are occasions that you might want to, set something up in the company and have that, manage that brand. You can think about the style of this lead magnet. It doesn't always have to be the same. Many successful entrepreneurs like Marie Forleo and all these people, they have slightly different branding for slightly different lead magnets. So have a think about that. And then how do you help people? Is it coaching? Is it agency services? Is it software? Is it education? So this is a tool we actually created that is one of the tools that I'll be talking to you about later on. But as an example, this is a good way for you to identify, right, okay, I can see how a health assessment would work. I can see how a relationship video course would work, or a challenge. There's so many things that you can do. Hopefully this helps. So let's just say, for instance, let's run through a quick example before we get into the traffic generation techniques. Let's just say that I am a money coach and I'm thinking of launching an event, maybe a webinar. It's for my personal brand. I want it to look elegant and sophisticated. And on the back of it, I really want to promote education and training to my audience. So within a few seconds, you've identified 5 different areas there. And then you could potentially roll that into something like this. It's a little bit elegant. It's a wealth builder webinar. It's this person's personal brand. So there's a picture of her there. And you can imagine this as an assessment. You can imagine this as a video course. The trick is to just decide on something to begin with and get something up. Get a landing page up, build something fast, and make sure that you have something and somewhere to send people to. For all of the social media work that we do and all of the stuff that I see you guys do online, it's incredible. We really just need somewhere that we can get behind and we can send people to. So let's just say something slightly different. Let's just say, you're in health and fitness, you want an assessment for your personal brand, but you've got a bold theme and you want to offer coaching and consulting. So that might be the fitness assessment. And this could be like a grading system, like let's measure where you're up to with these various different things. So once you have a lead magnet that you're happy with, you're able to really, really focus on driving traffic to that thing. So definitely use that tool. Again, I'll tell you more at the end about how you can get access to this tool as well as dozens of others, but that should help you at least tick that box. Now, the other thing you're probably thinking of is if you've got a few ideas and you like the idea of a few of those, you might be thinking, maybe I could have a few of them. Maybe I could, do an assessment and a webinar and maybe a video course. And that's a good question, actually. And I'd love to know from you in the chat what you think we should do. Do you think that we should just have one lead magnet, or do you think that we should have a few lead magnets? I'd love to know. Let me know A versus B in the comments. Let's see where you are at. I can actually see the chat. Rebecca, you might want to jump off on mute and let me know what we're thinking.
Definitely a mixture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of A's and B's. Yeah, it's definitely something that we've had stall us before. So it's definitely not a crystal clear option. And that's the reason I ask. So the option you've got is, do you have one signature lead magnet that you can drive all of your efforts to and all of your traffic and potentially have it limit those emotional trigger points for your audience, potentially have it too broad? Like what's the situation? And that's why sometimes people think, oh, I'll just have multiple lead magnets then. I'll just have, if you are a marketing agency, I'll have a lead magnet for websites. I'll have a lead magnets for SEO. I'll have a lead magnets for social media. That kind of thing happens. But what you tend to find is that when you have lots of lead magnets, fewer things get cut through and fewer things get the attention that they need. So we do still have an issue with one lead magnet burdening the weight of the entire lead generation pressure because we know it's important. So this is what I like to recommend. I want you to think about having one real powerful signature lead magnet that you can put your full attention into for the most part. So everything you do on LinkedIn, everything you do on your blog, everything you do when you're being interviewed or whatever you're doing in the world, if you can get one sort of product, some lead magnet that you can really perfect, and you can use that as your 80% effort, then that's the thing that you really want to do. Now, there's going to be a couple more lead magnets that might pop up, like the odd checklist here and there, like something that you think that there's a real need for. But there's a way that you can build out a lead magnet that's so powerful that it allows you to target those individual objections that somebody might have or those individual challenges. So my suggestion to you is have an 80% mindset when it comes to your lead magnets. So one signature lead magnet that you can talk about repeatedly over and over and over again with a couple of extra options for people that just want to go down the rabbit hole with you. So have that in your mind as well. The other thing that you can do is if you're new to lead magnets, you could do this in campaigns. Daniel Priestley talks about having a campaign-driven approach. So if you're not entirely sure about which lead magnet you should launch, then pick one through for the first 3 or 4 months. And then maybe if it doesn't work and you've got traffic to it, then you could potentially swap it for something else. But what I want you to do is to have that 80% mindset all the way through. So be thinking, what's this signature lead magnet I want to create? And it's important that you have that effort. It's not a case of, oh, we have lots of lead magnets, because that's not going to get cut through. People want to know that you're convinced that this is a powerful tool before they can be convinced of it. Now, most people, what they do when they set up a lead magnet and a landing page, this is kind of a typical value funnel. They'll set up a quick landing page, whatever tool they use. They'll opt in, they'll redirect to a thank you page, and then you'll get an email sequence. And this is fine if you're just starting out, but it's not the most effective way to create a really powerful signature lead magnet like what we've just been talking about. It's not valuable enough because it's not personalized, because we're not getting enough information. Usually you're just getting an email address or maybe a name and email address if you're lucky, which means you're having one conversation with all of these people. So in this situation, yes, you're going to need more lead magnets. You're going to need 5, 10, because it's just a linear kind of lead flow. And that's not good enough anymore. So you really want to be thinking about creating a lead magnet that allows you to convince more people to sign up because it's more valuable, but also communicate on a more intimate basis and a more personalized level. And that's why ScoreApp exists. And like I said, you can set up a free account. It's phenomenal. It allows you to set up the landing page and the thank you page, but in the middle of it, you get to ask some specific questions. And that's the really, really powerful thing about automating it, about making sure that you could potentially, if they have this objection, you can target that with the questions. You can target that with your email sequence. If somebody has a slightly different objection, you can find that out within the questionnaire and ask people. And like I said, we get 40% conversion rates consistently on this. But even if you have 20% conversion rate, it's still better than most of these PDF downloads that people have, or these newsletter, sign up to my newsletter box. That lead generation is the outdated stuff from the 90s. We really want to be leveling things up, and people want a much more personalized experience. And again, by asking a couple of questions, you can really speak to those people on the thank you page. The messages can be different. You just really want to make people feel seen in this world of just virality. People want to be seen. People want to be treated as individuals. So the questions are really, really powerful, and it'll allow you to build out complete marketing plans. So if you do have one lead magnet that you're really trying to perfect, then it can work. It works all the time. People have this because of the infrastructure. So the thank you page can be personalized. You can give people special results and links and resources based on how they answered questions. So it's much more valuable on demand rather than having, to speak to people and ask them questions. You can ask the questions up front and deliver value automated. And that's the trick. It's the automation behind the scenes. So I want you to have this in your mind, which is no lead magnet ever gets left behind again. So if you think I'm just going to launch a quick wait list, I'm just going to launch, a PDF download. I've created something. I want to give it away, get it out of my hands as fast as I can. Stop yourself and think to yourself, is there a way that I can just ask some questions on the back of it? Is there a way that I can improve the value rather than just it collecting dust on my website and never seeing the light of day? Force yourself to create a really powerful lead magnet that asks questions, that tailors the results page. It's free. You may as well use a tool that's free in order to improve it. And I'll tell you why it's so important. This is one of the questions that I asked you when you registered for this webinar. How many new leads per month would transform your business? 75% of you said between 10 and 100 leads would transform your business. That's insane. Like, that's really, really good. It doesn't take that many leads in order to transform your business and your lives, which is phenomenal. This is really, really good news. I didn't expect it to be so high as 75% between 10 and 100 leads, because when I was putting together this this webinar and the stuff we're going to roll into now, I thought, oh, amazing. The content I'm going to give people today is definitely going to get them to 10 to 100 leads. So I'm really excited. That's probably why my energy looks like I've had 3 Red Bulls this morning, because this is great. You've told me what you need, and now I can give you the content. And that's what ScoreApp is so good for. And that's what personalization in general, even without ScoreApp, is good for. You ask the questions that you need answers to, and then you deliver content based on that. But this is what got me really excited. So when we asked the question, what's your biggest problem right now with lead generation? You're struggling to get traffic to your lead magnet, 37%, but I don't know where to start with lead generation was 44%. That means 44% of the people on this webinar right now might not have a lead magnet. Now, is there a chance that when I was preparing the slides for this, that I wouldn't have spent more time on the lead generation? Probably. I would have probably jumped straight into the 7 strategies. But because 44% of you have told me that you're not sure where to start, I wanted to create some information, some resources, some slides in order to help you get started. That means that hopefully it's valuable to 44% of you. And if not, you've got the rest to look forward to. But I'm able to adapt my content because we ask these questions. So hopefully that's a real life scenario of how effective this can be, but it is dependent on the questions that you have. Is all that making sense? Have we got any concerns, any questions in the comments, Rebecca? Is all that making sense? Give me the thumbs up if you're liking it so far. Yeah. Fantastic. Really, really good to see. Okay. So now the good stuff. Now we've got your lead magnet ideas. We've got some questions that you can ask. A couple of questions. You don't need to ask many. You can ask 2 or 3 questions like what we did, and you're able to offer a much more personalized, valuable lead magnet offer and tailor it on the back end. How do you get traffic to your lead magnet? That's what we really want to know. And like I said to you, Facebook ads are great. And this is what Daniel always says, which is if you can pile money into something and it costs you £1 and you get £3, £4 back, wonderful. Put more money in it. But the reality is when you launch something new, either a new service, a new offer, you need to validate it first with some free traffic before you can double down on paid traffic. And that's why it's so important that you have something to do before you think about spending money. It's the fastest way to go broke. If you've not tested an offer, a lead magnet, a service, but you put money into it, then you're going to see how successful it isn't fast, but you're going to lose money in the process. Whereas if you put something out in the world and nobody joins your wait list or nobody, downloads your PDF or takes your assessment, but you've put an enormous amount of traffic in the front end, you can see the offer's not good enough. So that's why it's important that you do drive free traffic first. Okay, number 1. One of the best ways that we grew our business and we got thousands of people to join our email list was we appeared on podcasts. And this was really, really nervous for us. We were really nervous to start with. But this is the first thing that we really got control over because we knew we had knowledge in our business and we knew people were going to start asking us for our podcast to be a guest on their podcast. We were going to events and we were meeting these people, and there were so many podcasts I was listening to, and I heard these people be interviewed, and I was just fascinated. I'd go down the rabbit hole on them. I was listening to Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income back in 2014, and I ended up, going down the rabbit hole with one particular guest and then spent loads of money with him, and we're still good friends today. And I just think, wouldn't it be nice if that was you? Wouldn't it be nice if someone chased you and said, I saw you as a guest on this episode of this podcast, and I just found it so interesting and fascinating. And this is the kind of thing that happens when you start to appear on some podcasts. So there's so many interview shows out there that you could be a guest on. And the best thing is that it's free. This is the thing people don't think of. Like, would you like to get in front of tens of thousands of people for free? Or would you like to pay for sponsorship? Like, this is the fast track way for you to get in front of thousands and thousands of people and have a conversation with somebody and explore what it is that you do, what knowledge you've got, why it's important, and for you to lay out all of the factors that people might be struggling with in a podcast. So it's just incredibly powerful. If you can get over the hurdle of getting a couple of interviews under your belt and you're pretty much happy to be interviewed, then it's an absolute game changer. We have constant leads and sales from podcasts we've been a part of. It's just so powerful. 45 minutes of just talking about you and your stuff is fun. It's not nerve-wracking when you get into the flow of it. People are asking you questions. You've got knowledge, and when you get into the flow of it, it's super simple. But like I said, at the end of every podcast, you can be saying, I created, they always say the same thing. Where can people find out more about you? And this, everybody says it. So all you say is, well, I created a free assessment, or I run a regular webinar. You just go to this URL, you go to this link, and people can sign up for free. There's no pitch. It literally is, here's a free thing that I created. And the more personalized and the more that you treat your lead magnet as an 80% rather than 5 different lead magnets, it's so much more simple for you to mention it at the end of a podcast. Here's some stats on podcasts. There are so it's just baffling to me that how fast and how it keeps growing the podcast market. The average listener of a podcast spends a whopping 7 hours per week glued to their podcast app. 7 hours a week. I can't remember the last time I watched 7 hours of Netflix in a week. Maybe that's because I've got a 5-year-old. I don't know, but maybe 7 hours of Paw Patrol, perhaps. There are 464 million podcast listeners worldwide, which is projected to be 504 million by 2024. Like, wow, like 15-20% increase is insane. And you can see from these graphs, like, I just flabbergasted by the fact that this is the growth of podcasting still. So people are opening up to it. There's a lot more that can come from it as well. And in fact, a couple of years ago, you might not know this, but Daniel was doing, Daniel's been writing books and talking about business for years. But just a couple of years ago, he was appearing on some pretty small podcasts. He was he was going around the houses. He was doing as many podcasts as he could in order to get into the flow of it, to find his rhythm, to see what worked, see what didn't. And then after, dozens of little podcasts, that's when he started to appear on slightly bigger podcasts. It's definitely a snowball effect when it comes to podcasting and being a guest on a podcast. This transformed our business. It's obviously, done a lot for Daniel as well. Speaking on Ali Abdaal's podcast, Chris Doe's podcast, and then obviously Stephen Bartlett has completely changed the game forever. Like that's not backing up. It's just continuous now. But he started small. He appeared on lots of little podcasts before he got invited onto big podcasts. Big podcasts want to know you've done this a lot. And that's why it's important for you to have a longer term mindset. Okay. It really, really does help. Now, in terms of preparing yourself for podcasts, you're going to need a few things. If you're reaching out to people and you're saying, I'd really love to be on your podcast, you're probably going to need to have somewhat of a list of things that you're taking care of. You're probably going to need a one-pager like this. This is something that Daniel's going to be using to send to people to make their lives easier. It's a one pager. You can absolutely use this in order to send it to people to say, I've done this before. Here's some stuff. Here's some information about me. It's got suggested topics. It's got awards on there. It's got social media for people to see. It's got some stats and some trust credibility stuff. So you can have links to headshots here. You can have a link to your latest bio. You can have previous appearances. You can have awards. You can have badges. If you had a document like this, people would instantly look at it and think, oh, wow, they've done this before. Great. If you're just kind of like, oh, what do you need from me? Do you need to send that? You want it to seem more professional. And that's the reality of, pitching to become a guest. So here's an example. Here's one of these example templates that we told you you'd be getting. So feel free to screenshot this. But this is a very effective template that you can use in order to get yourself on a podcast. It's important that you have some sort of level of personalization in this. It's not just the same blanket message to everyone, but it is good if you know these people. So start with what you listen to, start with the people you follow and content you consume, and send this. I wanted to say I love your podcast. I always learn something new every single week. The one topic I haven't heard you talk about is, what is it? I actually specialize in this topic and would love to share my knowledge with your audience. I think your audience would find it helpful. What do you think? Do you think your audience would enjoy learning more about this? I've gotten so many podcasts from this pitch. It's really, really effective. So if you're just getting started, you want this to seem more friendly. You don't just want to send the same blanket message to everybody. You want it to be a little bit more personalized, to spend a little bit longer. And the important thing to remember is that when you give an awful lot of value, like a 45-minute presentation or a 45-minute podcast interview, you have the right to say, by the way, if you want to learn more, take this assessment and figure out where you are on the scale. Or if you want to find out more, you can join the webinar where I give you some extra stuff. Like, it's exciting for someone to want to consume your content. If you've got 1,000 people who listen to this episode, then chances are a few of them are going to come through. And if you're looking at 10 to 100 leads, is going to be transformational. If you just focus on this one element of the 7, then it's going to be an absolute game changer. So that's the first one. The next one is slightly related. It's called community guesting. Now, this means if you really want to get in front of buyers, so podcasting is great for getting in front of listeners, but if you want to get in front of buyers, people that pay for your services, then think about contributing your content, your knowledge, your experience in communities, paid communities that only paying clients can get access to. This is what we've done a lot of in the past as well. And it kind of sometimes follows on from podcasts. Some of these people have podcasts and then they invite you in to contribute some training. But the people who are there are invested because they're paying for it. Here's a couple of stuff, bits and pieces we've done. And like I said, it's far more effective than when you're dealing with a small membership than maybe a larger free community. So find the paid ones is what I'd suggest. It's usually niche specific. We've done stuff for photography businesses before. We've done stuff for estate agents. We've done stuff for online businesses. We've done stuff for membership site owners. Like, if you can find people that have memberships that have niches, then you can tailor your content. That's what it's all about. And then again, on the back of it, you want to say, where can you find out more? Well, I've created this assessment. I've done this thing. So you add a lot of value. You ask for something in return. They're giving up their time because they're paying for it. So they're more than happy to pay a little bit of money, pay a little bit of time in order to do something else if they think they're going to get value from it. It's incredibly effective, and usually people buy. Every single time I've done this, I think I've got a customer from it, whether it was an online course, whether it was a book sale, whether it was, a retainer client. It's always really, really profitable for you to give your time for this. You're seen as an expert because an expert has asked you to come in. It's not just, oh, I'm doing an episode every single week, like a podcast. Membership communities, they're a little bit more infrequent. So it might be once a month, which means people are usually waiting for that burst of knowledge and that burst of content. And this is something we're definitely going to be doing in ScoreApp as well, is asking some experts, some really high caliber experts to come in and support our clients as well, because we understand the value in it and our audience do as well. And like I said, you get to pitch your lead magnet at the end. So it's an incredibly powerful thing to do. Now, in terms of what you can contribute to those people, you could do Q&As if you really wanted to. You could do like a masterclass, which is just a continuous teaching exercise. You could offer to do critiques. We do landing page critiques. In the past, I've done content critiques and website critiques. You could do workshops. So it could be more workshop vibe. Go away for 5 minutes, come back, tell us what you've written down. Full case studies. Case studies are really interesting, especially if they're story driven. You can run through a few of those and show people how to get the same results. Or maybe you could do some live coaching. It's really, really good if you can do some live, Zoom coaching. It's really powerful for people that attend live, and that's the thing that really gets that connection. So there's an awful lot that you can do. Similar sort of pitch when it comes to a membership site owner. You've got things like a constant you've got this as a pitch that you can send to numerous people, and it's the kind of thing that you can spend a little bit longer personalizing. But how's everything going with your investment membership? It looks to be doing well. I wondered if you ever invite guests to share their knowledge and expertise within your community. The reason I ask is I help, I don't know, these people with this problem, or help these people to become this thing. And I think your audience would find it valuable. I would love to share my knowledge with your audience. If you think they'll benefit from it, what do you think? So this is something, again, that you can send to 5 to 10 people. It won't take you long to find membership sites that have the ability for you to access these people, send them this pitch. But it's really, really valuable, even if you don't get in front of as many people as you would with a podcast, because these people are invested and they're happy to buy. Okay. So if this is the thing that you focus on first, it works well. Okay, content bursts. So we know the power of content. We know it's important. We know, it's extremely valuable. But what's a content burst? So let's have a look at this. Now, this might be surprising to a few of you, but the number one website in the world is still Google. No matter how many social media accounts pop up, no matter how much time we spend on social media day in, day out, Google is still the most trafficked website in the world by a long shot. And then YouTube, which is also Google. So when it comes to monopolies of visitors, Google are loving life. Yes, we've got Facebook and Instagram and things like that on here. But the thing that I see when I look at this list is the overbearing reality that we are all addicted to content. That's what I see. And I know it to be true, because when we look at these sites, Google is mainly long form content. YouTube is mainly long form content, although they have shorts right now. Facebook, generally short form, Instagram short form, Wikipedia long form. We want answers to questions. We want to consume content, and we're happy to dedicate time to consuming content if it's interesting, informative, or entertaining. And that's the reality. People are still visiting these websites for content and that constant content fix, because we are addicted to consuming content, which is really, really good. And you can benefit from that if you have the right approach. So let's just go back to the start of this webinar when we came up with the Wealth Builder webinar for Jess. And let's imagine that that's her lead magnet. What content could you create from the knowledge, from the experience that you've got, where you can get in front of some of this traffic, where you can get to the first page of Google, when you can get to the first page of search results in YouTube, and you can get referenced in places like Reddit or Quora or Wikipedia even. You have to be prepared to put in the work when it comes to content creation. And you can't just think, I'm posting on LinkedIn or I'm posting on Instagram. People want value, and you get value from consistency and in-depth content. So these are some of the content pieces that you could create if you really wanted to have a little bit of a content burst. And the idea really is, when you have a lead magnet and you're about to launch something new, you want to create a burst of content that aligns with that lead magnet. So we're not just creating content for the sake of it. We're creating content about the topic of the lead magnet. And I'll tell you why in a second. But let's create an article about the biggest mistakes people make when building wealth. What about 12 top tips on how to retire early? Common myths about investing. These are all aligned with Jess's content, her niche. 5 steps to retire faster. 7 benefits of a company pension scheme. Like it's all linked to what she does and what she teaches. Problems with company pensions, problems with growing wealth, problems with this bank account, whatever. It's all aligned. And the reality is that if you have that one lead magnet and you have a burst of content ready to go when you launch, or maybe you have a burst of content to go live within a set period of time so that you can promote existing lead magnets, then that's the thing that's going to get traffic. That's the reason that so many people visit Google. They're consuming content. Now, I know this to be true because I run a content marketing agency, and that does the entire business model is long form content to get traffic and leads and sales. And that's exactly what happens. You see this on Daniel Priestley's YouTube channel. Everything refers back to a lead magnet. Whenever you see that Sunday video that goes out, there's a lead magnet attached. Whenever you see him post on LinkedIn or ScoreApp as on the blog, there's lead magnets, there's things that we want you to do. So if you have that, you're going to get that free traffic from Google, from search, from organic, and you're going to funnel people into your lead magnet. And if it's tailored, then and specific, then it's going to make sense. So what we're not doing here is writing a series of articles about stories within your life or the old style blog and day in the life of. We're being specific. It's about having a very focused creation process. And here's why. Because if the title of your blog post is related to your lead magnet, then you can promote the lead magnet within it. There's nothing clever going on. It literally is if the topic relates to your lead magnet, then you can promote your lead magnet within it. And if you're using Google's traffic and all of the people searching for all of the problems and concerns and, 5 tips to do this, and you're going to rank on the first page of Google, then you can include a graphic like this, which says, take my assessment to find out where you are on the scale, or join my upcoming webinar. In every single article you create for that content burst, you can create that lead magnet and that promotional asset. So hopefully that makes sense. The next one, which we all love, is direct messages. So you probably do have a love-hate relationship with direct messages. But let me take you back to this. Let me take you back to the fact that you only need 10 to 100 leads. Is it possible that you could get there just based on DMs? Is it possible that you could DM 10 people a week, 10 people a month, or 100 people, Like, is it possible for you to get your allocation of leads that you need to have a transformational business just from DMs, forgetting everything else we've gone through, forgetting everything else, that we're going to go through? Just by sending some messages to people, you could get transformation in your business. So when we think about DMs, we always think, oh, I just don't want to send direct messages on LinkedIn. I don't want to ruin my brand. But the reality is that if I message Rebecca, if I message some of the people on this call, if I know people, then I'm growing that network, I'm growing that relationship, I'm strengthening that connection, I'm building trust with these people. So forgetting about asking for anything right now, just from sending more DMs, I want you to get into the rhythm of it. I want you to get into the rhythm of touching base with people. Just condition your brain to think, today I'm going to DM 5 people and I'm not going to ask for anything. If we can start small and we can start the introduction process of every day, my press ups are sending 5 nice messages to catch up with people I've lost touch with. We can build up that rhythm of messaging people, then we're naturally going to have better conversations. People are going to be more clear. People are going to ask you questions. What is it you're up to these days? I see you changed what you're doing now. Is this still, you reinstate who you are and what you offer? And also, people will probably say, you know what, I was speaking to somebody the other day about this, and I should send them your way. It happens all the time. Every time I go to a networking event or a marketing conference, people say, I was speaking to somebody about this thing. I should send them your book, or I should do something, should make a connection. So you're naturally going to pick up stuff anyway. But let's just say that you did have a very much a focused lead generation, objective. I want you to start with this stuff first, the general connections. I want you to see if you can go for 5 days and 5 messages a day. just getting to know people, just strengthening, building connections and touching base with people. And then think about what you could do if you did have a more focused approach. Think about 10 DMs per day. Maybe you just do it, 5 days a week, 22 days a month. That's 220 DMs. Is it possible that you can get 50 leads from that? I think it probably is, especially if these people are connected to you and you're pumping out some content and you've got stuff to say and share with the world. I think it's probably possible for you to get success with that. And even if you get, 50 leads, then that's again is going to be transformational for a lot of you on this call. So there's many different things that you can do um, to speak to these people, but it's not that difficult. And Daniel talks about, messaging thousands of people. And if you have a very specific objective and you have a script and you have some structure to it, you can send thousands of messages in order to do that. But you can start small and then you can get to that. And chances are, if you're sending out 220 DMs a month, it's going to start trickling through to some sales as well. So you're going to see benefits sooner rather than later. It's one of the fastest ways for you to get traffic to your lead magnets, to build awareness, is through the DMs. Here's an example of a DM you could send to people. I was just on your LinkedIn profile and I noticed that you haven't been posting much recently. I totally get it. We're all busy with work from time to time. Nice bit of empathy there. The reason for the message is that we recently helped our client Jess take her brand new LinkedIn account from 0 to 3K followers in 45 days. I broke it all down in a case study and I thought you might find it valuable. Would you like me to send it to you? We're opening up a conversation that potentially hasn't existed before. We're saying we see you. We know what you're trying to accomplish. We've spotted the opportunity. And by the way, we have an example of someone that we've done this for in the past. I've put it in a case study. Would you like it? So usually the DMs I get, hi, thanks for the connection request. Here's a link to my website. Here's everything I do. And can we jump on a call? So this is a million miles away from that kind of DM. This is, would you like it? I don't know if you do, if you don't, but I'm going to offer it you anyway. Imagine you sent this to 5 people today, 10 people today. Like, what would it look like if you had a rhythm of posting this and sending it to people? The more personalized, the better, but at least you have somewhat of a structure or a script. We've got the empathy, we've got the authority, and we've got the ask, which is, would you like to see it? There's no pressure. If you don't have to reply, but the actual cliffhanger of, oh, it might be good, this is quite important. And that's why we sign up for leads anyway, because we see a big promise on a landing page and we want to get through to the other side. So we know that it works well. Okay. Number 5, lead magnet exchange. This has been our secret weapon behind the scenes for a lot of years now. There are people in your industry that have a similar audience to you that you can actually create a joint venture with. You can actually say to yourself, you know what? I have this audience and I have this thing. What about you over there that also has a similar audience? And why don't we swap? Why don't I promote your thing and you promote my thing? It's incredibly simple, but incredibly powerful because it works like an absolute treat. It's fast because you can just set a date and you can actually say, so on September 1st, we're going to promote your thing and you're going to promote ours. Everything usually happens within a sort of 3 to 5 day period. It's free and it's reliable because they've already built up that trust and credibility. And if that person has built up that trust and credibility and they're recommending something, then they're much more likely to buy rather than they see, an ad on Facebook from someone they've never heard before or someone promoting it just for the sake of, affiliate commission, for instance. Having someone that has an audience that's happy to recommend your thing in exchange for you recommending theirs is the fastest way that I've found to get an influx of cash and leads. So the last time we did this was about 12 months ago. And we did sort of a mini campaign with somebody else in our niche. And we got 600 new leads. We got instant sales from our online products and services, of £4,000. And then we got 2 retainer clients that are still with us today. So there's a lot that can happen on the back of this. And I think it's quite important that you're aware of it. If you've never done this before, believe me, this is powerful. Even if you do 3 of these a year, you can imagine how transformational that would be for your business. Just to get the leads, but again, sales, because that's what it's all about. We're talking about leads, but sales is the ultimate objective, and it's extremely powerful. If you don't have an email list, you might be thinking, oh, well, I can't do this one. I'll wait for the next one. Maybe I'll focus on something else. But if you have, let's say you have a following on social media, like LinkedIn, and you have maybe 10,000 followers, and you come to an indirect kind of agreement with somebody that they have an email list and you want to promote it, you want to promote your offer and your service and your lead magnet to their audience, then why not agree that we'll do somewhat of a promo on LinkedIn? That's an option that you've got. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's the story, maybe you start small and you do some social for social. But the reality is that the money is in the email list. It's incredibly powerful. Every time that we need to make sales or we want to shout about something that's happening, our email list is the first thing that we think of because it's much more powerful when it comes to getting leads and sales. So if you don't have an email list, you've got to build one. And that's exactly what this webinar is all about, building your email list, building conversations. But don't think that it has to be email for email. It can be LinkedIn. You could potentially, do something as a gift. Maybe you even said to people, I'll be a guest on your podcast or in your membership community if you can promote this to your email list. Maybe we could think smart and think outside the box. But if you can get in front of a new audience like that and they're recommending you and your lead magnet, then it's just incredibly powerful way for you to get more leads. So in the past, we've had people reach out and say, can I offer to do a service? Or can I do a critique? Can I do some coaching for this person in exchange for a promo? And that's another option you've got as well. But again, resounding element, which is if you have one lead magnet that you can put your full weight behind, all of these become far easier. If you're trying to promote 5 different lead magnets at the same time, it's just not going to be as successful. So here's an example of how you can reach out to someone who you may know, but may not have been comfortable enough to reach out to. Again, feel free to screenshot this. I've been on your email list for a while, Chloe, and I always find your content so valuable. I actually have a similar audience to you, although my service is completely different. So you might be thinking, why would this person promote this thing? Why would this this accountant promote my accountancy firm? But really, there's plenty of people that have slightly different niches, slightly different audiences, and slightly different services, even if you have the same sort of niche. I actually have a similar audience to you, although my service is completely different. I keep thinking to myself, we must collaborate in some way. Again, make this conversational. Would you be open to a quick chat to discuss how we might work together? It is important that you treat these people as individuals. There's probably going to be a few more conversations that have to happen before this gets written in stone. When we did this last time, we knew these people very well, and we still had to have a 30-minute call to iron everything out. Their email list was slightly bigger, so we had to negotiate that. So this is one that if you can do this once, then you could probably want to fill your calendar with these little email swaps and promo JVs going forward, because it's incredibly powerful way. If you just did this, you would be successful. If you just focused on podcasts, you could be successful, and all of the other things in here. So it's about giving you options, the main thing. Okay, a social media battle plan. I want to spend a little bit longer on this one because we all know social media, we all use it, but sometimes you just don't know what to post. And this is where it gets quite interesting. So I'm going to show you, before I get into this, I'm going to show you how you can create over 1,000 pieces of content very easily. Get the ideas for 1,000 pieces of content just from using your lead magnet. So we could go down the rabbit hole about how to create content and, what you can do, what you can say, and there's tons of things online. But if you already have a lead magnet and you're trying to create social media content, use the lead magnet to inform the content. We already know that the more focused a lead magnet is and the content you produce is successful, So let's imagine for a second that you have an assessment and you have, let's say, a marketing assessment with 5 different things. In fact, I'll show you the example we came up with, the fitness trainer example. So let's say you've got a grading system and you focus on cardio, strength, nutrition, mindset, flexibility. And you have these 5 key assets or key areas of your service that allow people to see success, focus on, invest their time in order for them to be successful when it comes to getting fit and healthy. Why not use that? And the same goes for a webinar. I'm going through 5 things or 7 things. Daniel talks about the 5 Ps. Like, could he create content based on the 5 Ps? Of course, that's what happens. That's what we're talking about here. It's your system within your business, your methodologies that you use within your lead magnet can be used to create content. So let's just, as a random exercise, take the pillar pieces of content that we spoke about before, the biggest mistakes, the 12 top tips, the common myths, the 5 steps to this. Imagine that you were to say, I'm going to write that, but I'm only going to write it for cardio. And I'm going to write this, I'm going to write it for strength, and then nutrition, and then mindset, and then flexibility. That's an awful lot of content right there that you can create for those specific problems that people have. So if you have a lead magnet that's incredibly powerful and value rich, then you're able to take the information from the lead magnet, either the categories from your quiz. ScoreApp allow you to set up these categories that assign questions and groups and things. So you probably got the same on your tools, whatever you use it. But I'm sure you can take your overall business and break that up into 5 key areas that will make people feel successful if they accomplish all 5 or 10 or whatever. Now, you can create specific pieces of content, let's say 6 pieces of content, and this is without even thinking about it. 6, you could probably come up with 10 for each of these 5 areas. That's a lot of content straight away. And if all you did was fill up your calendar with these 30 ideas, then you've got the next 30 social media posts that you could potentially talk about. The biggest mistakes people make with cardio, like 12 top tips on how to improve your cardio. Really simple for you to imagine how that would look. Does not always have to be 12, it can be a summary. But then you want to take it to the next level. So let's just say that your ideas are here. We just need to think smart about how we can stretch them. What about different content types? Is it possible that you can create 30 text-based posts on LinkedIn or Facebook? Is it possible that you can turn those 30 into a one-pager, like a cheat sheet, like we've done here? Is it possible you could create those as individual videos for those individual points, like a short form video, like what we do with Daniel? Yes. Is it possible that you can, if you do have an assessment, that you could take questions relating to those content pieces and just share it on Instagram and say, wow, this is an interesting statistic I wasn't aware of. I'm sharing it because I wanted to create awareness that this is a thing. Maybe you can create carousels. And we've not even spoken about all of the other kind of content types that you can create that would allow you to share the same message across multiple mediums. But that's, 30 times 5 different pieces of content there. We're getting into hundreds of pieces of content that you can create. And that's even before we talk about the platforms. Imagine you did this on Facebook. Imagine you did this on Instagram. There's 10 platforms here, but maybe you just use 5. Like, that's still an enormous amount of content that you can take from taking your lead magnet as the guide, breaking it up into tiny little pieces, and then making sure that you use the different platforms and the different content types in order to create a plan for 1,000 pieces of content, more than 1,000 pieces of content, in fact. So it is important that you have a plan. And again, I'm going to keep beating this drum, which is if you have one lead magnet, if I have an assessment and I break up my social media content the way that I've just explained, and I can get as many people as possible to see my content from publishing more and being consistent, if in my bio there was one link on every platform, and I constantly said, if you want more information about this, click the link in my bio, click the link in the comments. Maybe you include the link in the body of the post every now and again. There's so much that you can do if you have that 80% mindset. I've got the social media content I'm using, and it's like a cycle. You're using the social media content or the the ideas within the business and the problems people have to create the lead magnet. You then feed that back to the people. You then use that to get them back to the lead magnet. And it becomes this just unbearable, like unavoidable, result, which is everyone's going to become a lead eventually because the content is just resonating so well with people. So that's the social media action plan that I really want you to think about. Now, there's tons that you can do outside of that, but let's just think smart. We've not got an unlimited amount of time. Let's take the resources and the content and the knowledge that you have from creating the epic lead magnet and then turn it into content so that it's relevant. And even if occasionally you want to throw the odd story in there, the odd random video, the spontaneous, reel, go for it. But have a content action plan that works when you're not working. Schedule it, get it set up, and just make your life easier. Okay. So coming on to number 7, and we're going to have a little bit of time for Q&A after this as well. But this is the thing that I mentioned at the start where we got an 83% conversion rate on one of our lead magnets. And this was amazing because, like I said, 40% is good. This is double. And most people struggle to get 10% conversion rates on their landing pages if they're not built right. So this is how we got 83% conversion rate using a mini competition. And it's incredibly powerful because people love to win cool stuff. Like I love to win cool stuff. I see people share stuff all the time. It's just share this post, you'll win a meal at this thing. I'm like, I'm not going to do it, but I wouldn't mind a free meal every now and again. I wouldn't mind, tickets to this new show or whatever. So people love the idea of winning something and getting something for free. So for us, we did this as a short burst campaign. We got 83% conversion rate. We got 512 leads from running a competition. And we doubled the conversions on our normal lead magnet because we did this as kind of a pop-up shop type campaign. People love to get free stuff, which is why we doubled the conversion rate. But over 500 new leads for a brand new lead magnet was insane. And we had people share it as well. This is the interesting thing about a quiz or a webinar. People are less likely to share it without you asking. But with this, people are like, oh, wow, look, you can win some stuff. Let's share it. Like, I'm going to share it. You can ask people to share it for you as well because it's so good and free. And this is the basic landing page that we used in order to have that success. And there was a little bit more to it further down, but this is kind of what it looked like. And it wasn't even positioned as a lead magnet. It was positioned as a survey. We had this vision. We wrote a book on content and how you can protect yourself from a mental health point of view. And we wanted to add some statistics to the latest version of our book. So we thought, we'll do a survey and we'll do a competition and we'll give people some cool stuff. So it was take our 2-minute survey and get a free PDF copy of our book plus some bonuses. So everyone who opted in got something. They answer 14 multiple choice questions and we'll send you a book and bonuses. But you'll also get entered into a prize draw where one person will win over £750 worth of books, courses, and goodies. Now, elephant in the room, this isn't free. We're talking about 7 free ways to drive traffic, but we had a lot of these resources. So it is £750 of free resources, but realistically, it was probably £30 where we bought a few books from other people and we sent a mug in the post and stuff like that. So it's very, very low cost. But all we wanted to do was to collate a list of people. We wanted to access data. And this is when you fall in love with the idea of data on the back of lead generation. You'll fall in love with it, believe me, because you'll see what it can do. But what we did from this is we had 500 people opt in. We spent 30, 40, £50 on postage included and stuff and sent someone some stuff. But everyone got our book. Everybody got our bonuses. Everybody consumed our content. And we had people shouting about our business online. But then things got really interesting. And again, this is why it's so fascinating to me because I love to test. I love to see these experiments. But this is where it got really, really interesting. We decided to collate all of that information into a report. So of those 512 business owners, this many people said this many people said that. And it was shocked. The results were surprising. But we decided to create a report put it on a landing page on our website, and then again, ask people to opt in for it. So we're asking people to opt in to fill in the survey, and then we do this, collate the survey results, and then we ask people to opt in for the report when it's ready. And that was nicely designed and cool stuff was in it. But more than anything, it was lead generation focused. The results of it were traffic because we created a page, and then we got more leads on the back of it. And then something really funny happened because we then got picked up by Business Insider to say that we'd put together this report. But we just, wanted to just do some lead gen. And it got picked up. And then we got even more traffic and more leads on the back of it. So the reality here is that we've got a situation where the more knowledge you have in your mind, the more experiments you do, the more you create lead magnets, the more that you create content related to that lead magnet, you just share and you have this scientific kind of approach, the more come off the back of it. If you're just thinking, well, I'm just going to focus on this for 7 days and get some leads, it's not working, it's rubbish, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. If you have this longer term mindset and you really truly believe in what you do, and the value that you offer, then you're able to get results like this. And that constant flow of leads day in, day out is absolutely achievable. And then you can potentially stop sending so many DMs, and you can potentially take your foot off the gas a little bit with the content because you've got things happening in the background. But it all comes down to you having a strong personal brand and a perfected 80% lead magnet that you can put your weight behind. So yeah, really, really important. So those are the 7 things. And I mentioned a couple of things about what you'll find out at the end, and we've got some assets and some resources that are going to make your life easier. But I just wanted you to know that it's not necessarily the tool that gets the job done. It's definitely your effort. And if you have some structure and you can create a system whereby each day, each week, each month, you have some of these things going on, you can absolutely drive an awful lot of traffic to your lead magnet landing page, your offer, and get some sales coming in. So you'll absolutely, if you just focused on doing some of this, you'll get leads and you'll get sales. I guarantee it. This is what happens to us all the time. Really, really is important. But you have to have that lead magnet right. And if you don't have that lead magnet right, then people are not going to fall in love with you. It's not going to be personalized enough. It's not going to be structured. And then, like I said, it's free with ScoreApp. You've got a free account. You've got no excuse. But you really want to make sure you've got the effort on the back end, because we got you covered on the lead magnet side. You just need to make a decision on what that lead magnet is. And you also need to have some traffic generation techniques. There was early on in my career where I realized that it's all about promo. And someone said they were writing a blog post and they said, I spend 20% of the time writing the blog post and 80% of the time promoting it. And it's just always sat with me. Back in 2013, I heard that. And I was like, wow, that everything in business is the 80% promo. So just bear that in mind. We've got you covered on the lead magnet side. Don't worry about it at all. It's free. You've got access to it. But there's only one problem. And this is a big problem. Tools alone won't fix your lead generation. And when we think about all of these things and we think about the effort and the time, and some of you are probably thinking, oh, wow, like this is a lot of work to do. And there is work involved. But like I said, if you remember at the start of it, our job at ScoreApp and in all the businesses that we support, our job is to force you to be successful. And when I say force, I mean it deliberately. We don't want to help you become successful. We don't want to give you some blog posts and some videos. We want to absolutely force you to become successful. And that's our goal. We want everyone generating leads. We don't just want people paying for ScoreApp on the premium plans. We just want people to be getting leads and sales so that their business is successful. It does take effort and it does take time. And that's exactly why some of you may have heard that we've decided to build something to assist you with that. And that is called the Lead Generation Toolkit. And this is something that you may or may not be aware of. But the issue we have with having a lead generation tool like ScoreApp is people sometimes don't know how to promote things and how to get traffic to it. And no matter how good ScoreApp is and how good your lead magnet is, we already know that if you can't get traffic to it, you've got the unpublished Harry Potter book sitting there collecting dust. And we don't want that to be the case. And that's exactly why we have decided to spend an enormous amount of time creating some epic assets that you can use in order to promote your lead magnet. So behind the scenes for the past few months, we've been creating some amazing tools. We've been creating trackers. We've been creating contact trackers so you can track all of the DMs. We're able to create Google Ads trackers and lead naming generating tools, and lapse trackers so you can track your leads through to your appointments, through to presentations, and through to your sales. And this is in our effort to, again, to force you to become successful. And we can't do that without creating tools and assets like this in order for you to use. So that's what we've been building in the background. We've also been fleshing out all of the courses that we have on offer for clients of ScoreApp. You know, building out a course map for a calendar that includes all of the problems that we see in the Facebook group, all of the issues we see in lead generation in general. We're going to create courses for that. And we already have started as well, so that you've got 5 videos to walk you through step by step how to get to the first page of Google for your quiz, how to get more clients, how to, set up your first scorecard, all of that good stuff. We've also got templates. You've seen a few of them on this call. You've seen the fact that we've given you email scripts and templates. That's just a tiny, tiny proportion of what we're going to give you in the lead generation toolkit. Email sequences, complete email sequences that you can add on the back of your lead magnets when people opt in. What about a waitlist email sequence? What about social media? What about if you really want to go double down on the content plan, LinkedIn post templates? How helpful would that be? And then DM templates. On this document that you can see in the bottom here in the middle, this DM templates offers 30 different DM templates that you can use in order to reach out to people. And if you only need 10 to 100 leads, you've got 10 to 100 DM templates there that you can change and add if you wish. We've got short form video scripts. We will have landing page video scripts as well for your lead magnet to, again, to force you to be successful. We really want to make it easy. We've got LinkedIn promotion checklists and profile checklists. And each individual checklist gets a unique video where we walk you through it, we tell you what it's useful for, and we give you access to it as part of the lead generation toolkit, which we're really excited about. And this is fun. You've got your own Canva templates. So if you want to promote your lead magnets and you just want to go out and you just want to shout about it, then you don't want to think about hiring a graphic designer and stuff like that. It gets quite expensive. So we've gone ahead and created some templates for you to use and reuse and add your branding and style. And you've got access to use those as many times as you like. There's just an incredible amounts of assets that you've got. And we're even going to give you Daniel Priestley's very own one-pager, which you can use for podcasts, that you can jump on and you can change and you can add your content and add your links, because it's been successful for Daniel as well. So there's literally no excuse that you can't do all of the things that we've gone through in this webinar with these assets. And the reality is that with all of these assets, we had some really difficult conversations. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of value here, and we understand that. And when we spend our time creating something as big as this, the price point becomes an issue, because the amount of time and resources and ability that we have to sit down and create these assets takes time away from us doing the business. So when we were thinking about the true value and what this means for people, we were talking, well, surely it's got to cost this much, and it's going to cost thousands. Surely for the lead generation toolkit with all of these assets, think about how much it would cost for someone to hire a copywriter, a graphic designer, someone to reach out. You would imagine it would cost thousands, definitely hundreds. So we were just we had some difficult conversations around a table, and we were really struggling to work out what we're going to do with this. And then in the end, we remembered what we do is we force you to be successful. And we can't force you to be successful if you don't have access to the resources. And if you don't have access to the resources, then you might not implement all of the things that we teach you how to do. And that's not what we want. We don't want the next time that we have a meeting for us to be like, oh, there's not enough people being successful with lead generation. What are we going to do? So after some very difficult conversations and some raised voices, we've decided that we're going to do this for free. If you have a ScoreApp subscription of any kind, you get access to the lead generation toolkit. So just think about that for a second. A lot of you on this call have probably already got a ScoreApp subscription, paid. You're probably using it. You're probably getting a few leads. Just imagine how many leads you could get now that you have access to all of these tools. And it's not just the tools that you see, because right now we're in beta and all of the tools that you've seen are available right now, but this is nothing in comparison to what we're going to be adding over the next few months. If our ethos is force you to be successful with lead gen and business, then we have to, put our money where our mouth is. And as long as you have a ScoreApp subscription with us, paid of any kind, whether you're on the lowest price point or the highest price point, right now, you have got access to it. So what does this mean? This means if you're on a free account, you can upgrade to any paid account. However, and this is important, we're still in conversations about which price plan we're going to include this on. And what I mean by that is right now, today, for the next 48 hours, we're guaranteeing that anyone who signs up to ScoreApp on the lowest price point, you will get access to the lead generation toolkit and you'll be grandfathered in. But we're still yet to decide whether or not we launch this to the world. Because again, this is private between us on this webinar. This is the first time we're speaking about it. We still might have to have this on the business plan or the pro plan. Because of the time, effort, and resources. It needs to make sense financially. We need to at least cover the time allocation for someone to create these assets. But right now, if you wanted to sign up to ScoreApp and you wanted to get access to the lead generation toolkit as part of your subscription, you will get it on the £29 a month for the $39. The lowest price point, you'll get instant access to it. At the end of this webinar, you'll get an email with a link to how to access. And if you're on a free account and you've been using it, but you just need to get more leads, then all you have to do is upgrade. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to pay thousands of pounds for all of these assets. You don't have to pay a graphic designer or a copywriter. And by all means, you can continue to do what you've done up until this point, which is keep fiddling with your lead magnet and keep building it. But hopefully at this point, I've made, case to say that you just need to get traffic to it right now. And if you don't get traffic, you can't see if it's going to convert at a larger level. And if you can't get traffic to it, there's no point in spending money on ads. You need to test it out first. So that's what we've decided to do. Like I said, we really wanted to negotiate to make sense, because what you don't want to do is lose money when you create something like this. But with our goal being success and that unbearing North Star that we have, which is if everyone was successful in lead generation, we would be happy. And if you can just think about that, would your clients be happy if they were successful? What can you do if you can get enough people to your lead magnets? What can you do and what impact can you make in the world if you had access to some tools and templates to reach more people, get your Harry Potter book out in the world and have that amazing result that you want for your clients? So if you do receive an email from us to upgrade your account, like I said, we're trying to get as many people to be able to get it at cheap for as long as possible. So if you do sign up in the future, that's no problem, but it might not be available on the lowest price point. And that's why we're just trying to launch with the 48-hour window. And if you do sign up within the 48-hour window, we're going to do a special Q&A for you, which is going to happen in a couple of weeks' time, where we'll be able to help you, not just normal tech Q&A. This is a growth Q&A. This is where you can ask specific questions. You can get feedback on your pitches. You can get feedback on your social media posts. We'll create an area where we can do this premium Q&A and more of a coaching session. So get excited for that if you are wanting to take part. If you're on existing account with ScoreApp, you can join that. If you're just about to sign up, you've got 48 hours and you'll get access to that thing. So no pressure. Use ScoreApp for free. That's what we want. But if you really want to see success, that's available for you when you are ready. Okay. Excited. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Bye, everyone.